Want to learn how to create amazing game environments and assets? 3D Tutor now has a massive library of courses, whether you're interested in medieval or stylization, sci-fi or low poly, kit bash to oriental fantasy. You can find it all in one place at 3D Tutor. Find me across multiple platforms or over on Patreon, where you'll not only be able to support my work, but have access to hundreds of hours of tutorials. If this sounds too good to be true, then check out the links down below. And now, let's get started with the video. Welcome everyone, it's Neil here from 3D Tutor, back today with another tutorial. And in this one, what we're going to create is, so we're going to have this in two parts. The first part is basically going to be how to create a Gothic style stained glass window. And then in the second part, we'll actually show you how to make godrays and actually illuminate that actual stained glass that you've got in there. So the different colors basically will be creating a different light source and they'll shine through the window as you see on the right hand side now. So with all that said, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is delete the cube. So I'm going to left click the point light, press delete, left click the camera, press delete, and you should end up now with an empty viewport. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in an actual cylinder. So I'm going to press Shift A to bring in a primitive, come over to where it says mesh, come down and you'll see one that says cylinder and bring that in. Now over the bottom left hand side at the moment, you can see that we've got it on 32 vertices. That's the number of vertices going around here, and that should be fine for what we're trying to do. So basically all I'm going to do with this is just set out how big I actually want my actual window to actually be, roughly, because we can change this as we move along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press 7 on the number pad, and then I'm going to press S and just pull it out like so. And all I did there is just press S and Z and just made it a little bit thinner, just so it's a bit closer to the actual viewport here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Tab to go into actual edit mode, come up, click on face select, and then I'm going to press Alt, Shift and click, and that's just going to select them going all the way around. Then I'm going to press delete, come down to where it says faces, and just delete those out of the way. Now I'm going to grab the bottom face on here and press delete and faces. And as you see now, this, like I said, is just the outside of my Gothic style window. It's going to be circular, and this just gives me a reference to basically where I'm going to put all the little pots. Don't worry at all how big this actually is. We're going to shrink it down or make it bigger as we move along. Now the next thing you want to do is make sure that your cursor's in the center. If it's not, press Shift S, cursor to world origin, and now that's in the center, it means when I bring anything in, it's going to be central to my actual Gothic template which I've got here. So now let's press Shift A, and what we're going to do is we're going to bring in another cylinder, so let's bring that in. Again, I'm going to leave this on 32, because I think that's going to be about right for what I'm trying to do here. There's another reason as well that I want to leave it on 32 is I want to split this off into 4 pieces on every one, and the way I can do that is with 32 vertices. In other words, if I have it on 33 vertices or something like that, it means that when I try and bring them in or distribute them evenly, it's simply not going to work. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to come in, I'm going to grab the top and the bottom, I'm going to press SZ, shrink it down, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift Space Bar, come down to where it says move, and then I'm bringing in my move gizmo. Now I've got these faces actually selected, so what I can do is I can press delete faces, and you should end up with something like this. Now what I want to do is I actually want to bring these actual pots in, leave in a little ridge on each one going all the way around, just to create a kind of ornate part which is going to be the center of our Gothic style window. So what I'll do is I'll come to edge select, I'm going to press 3 I think it is on the number pad, and you can see now that if I select this one here for instance, and then I say 1, 2, 3, it means I can select the next one. So you can see there now that I've got 4 faces in between each one of these, and I want to do that basically going all the way around. So if I come around here, you can see 4 faces like so, come round again, 4 faces, come round again, and just work your way around. So you've just got a gap of 4 faces in between each one. And the reason we're doing that is because you'll see next that we're actually going to start bringing these in to create that kind of ornate feel. And you can also see if I press 7 now, tilt it down a little bit, you can see at the top here, they are aligned up with these at the bottom, which means now if I press S and bring those in, you can see that we can bring them in like so. Now there is one problem that you will find on this, is that it will bring them in, but it will bring them in so that they kind of shrink down like this. We actually want to bring these in quite evenly, or you might want that. It's completely up to you. So I will show you both ways how to actually fix that. For now though, what we're going to do is we're going to grab the whole thing. I'm going to press 7, I'm going to press E for extrude, press the enter button, and then I'm going to press S and just bring them in like so. and then you'll see now you should end up with something like that. And then finally what I want to do now is just bring them up a little bit, because I don't think I want them quite, you might actually want it, it looks kind of flowery and it could look kind of nice. We are going to have some glass in here. I think I'll just bring them out just a little bit, not quite so far in, something like that. And then what we'll do is we'll put another part in here now. So let's do that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to press Shift A again. I'm going to bring in another cylinder. I'm going to press S, bring it down, and then I'm going to shrink it down. So I'm going to press S and Z. So bring it into each other. I'm going to pull it up a little bit. And now when I pull this out, so I'm going to pull it up just past the actual template, press the S button, pull it out like so. All right, so that I think I'm happy with. I think I just need to pull it up a little bit, something like that, and then I want to bring this in where my glass is going to be. So the easiest way to do that is to come in, to grab your template, press the H button just to hide it out of the way, come now to the bottom part of this other cylinder, press Control and plus on the number pad, and what that's going to do is then that's going to select everything up to, but not including this face. In other words, if you press Z, go into wireframe, you'll see now I've selected everything apart from this top face. Now if I press delete, faces, you should be left, if I press Z, go back into solid, just this part now. And now what I can do with this is I can press I and bring it in like so. And then I can press E, bring it down, I, bring it in, and then E, bring it down like so. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. So a little piece of glass actually in this central point. You can see how easy it is to actually get this kind of look. Now if we press Alt H now, bring back our template, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to split our template off just away from this part that we've created. So I'm going to select my face on here, press P, selection, split it off, tab, press it again, and now you can see that we've got this actually split off from both of these parts. Now let's come to this part and actually work on this. So if I press 7, you can see that this is the top, and this is where I'm first of all going to make my kind of like, it's kind of a flower design that I'm looking for, as you can see on the artwork for this. And then I've got another flower point on here. So I'm going to come to this one first. So I'm going to grab this part. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to actually press Tab, and we're going to come in and we're going to grab both of the top parts off here. And then what I'm going to do is in fact, I'm not going to grab both top parts. I'm going to grab it with Edge Select. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to grab both of these top parts here. That'll make it a little bit easier for myself. Now, if I press 7 and I press Shift D, Enter, what we've done there is we've just duplicated it, as you can see. So now what we want to do is just pull it away from that, press the P button, selection, just to split it off, tab, and let's re-grab it now, like so. Now let's press tab, let's grab both of the edges, so grab both of these, and now we're going to press this E and Y and just pull it out on the actual Y axis. And you can see now that we should end up with just a plane going over with a line going down the middle. Now if I press 7 and we come in again and we press Control R, and then what we're going to do is we're going to scroll the mouse wheel up, and let's say 5, so left click, and then you see it can move like this, right click, and that will drop them right into a central sort of place. So basically what we did there, we added some edge loops in, we press Control R, left click, and then right click, and that dropped them into place. Now what I want to do is I want to bring these out to give that kind of petal shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab both of these, I'm going to come up to the top here, and this is proportional editing. So once I've clicked this on, you'll see that it's actually on smooth, and that's what we actually want it on. And now if I come in and I press S and X, you can see that when I pull this out, I can really get a nice kind of shape going in a kind of petal shape. I'm going to bring these in, so something like that. I think I'll bring this one out, S and X. And if you want to actually make this circle smaller, just scroll the mouse wheel in, and then you can make it smaller. So something like that looks really, really nice. And we've got a kind of taper as well on the top. Now what we want to do is we actually want to create a center point for this. In other words, we need this to be kind of stone, and in the center of each of these to be actually the stained glass. So how are we going to do that? So there's an easy way of doing that. So what we need to do is we need to grab it all. So I'm going to press L just to grab everything, and then I'm going to press I. I'm going to bring it in, and you can see now that we've got that really nice actual pattern that we wanted. Don't make it too thin or too thick. If it is, just press S without proportional editing on and just bring it out a little bit like so. And I think that looks really nice. So this is about the right actual size for our actual glass on this part. Now we need to put another one in here. Now doing this at angles like this, it does make it kind of hard. So I don't really want to actually do that. So what I'm going to do is instead, I'm going to press the little sideways V next to the question mark, and come over and put it on 3D cursor. And then what that does is, if I've got this grab now and I press RZ, it means it rotates around the center point of here, and that's what I'm looking for. So now if I grab both of these and I rotate them, now if I rotate them by 45 degrees, it will come to this point here, and I don't want that. So it needs to be 22.5 degrees. So if I press RZ and then on the number pad, 22.5, enter, you will see now that I can come into this one and do exactly the same thing as what I've got with this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come, grab this point again, press the tab button, I'm going to come in, I'm going to grab both of these parts, I'm going to press Shift D, pull them out slightly, and you can see my point's still down here, but that's absolutely fine. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press P, selection, and just split them off again. Tab, grab them, and then I'm going to press the little sideways V, come down and put it on individual origins. Now I'm going to press Tab, A to grab everything, and then E and Y and pull this one out as well. And you can see now that we're really starting to get somewhere. Now the other thing is that these here might be a little bit small. They probably are. I'm not going to worry about them at the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these two first, and I'm just going to press S just to bring them in very, very slightly, just so there's a little bit of a gap there. I don't want them actually touching. Then what I'm going to do is the same thing that I did before. So I'm going to press Ctrl R, and I'm going to scroll my mouse up to 5, left click, right click, and you should end up with something like this. Now it's up to you whether you want this indented, and I don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my little vertex select, grab this vertex and pull it up a little bit like so. And then what I'm going to do now, come to edge select, I'm going to pull these out. So I'm going to come, put my proportional editing back on, press S and X, and then start to pull these out like so. And now you can see they look kind of different from each other, and that is exactly what I'm going for. You can also see that they're not actually flat, and that is because this bit actually went in, and we do really want them flat. So let's fix that first before we do anything else. So what we'll do is we'll grab the whole thing. I'm going to press 3 to go into side view, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude it down. So I'm going to press E and pull it down like so. And then what I want to do is I want to cut this face across. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the whole thing. I'm going to come over to mesh, come down, and you've got one there that says bisect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to cut this across exactly flat, just to make it flat. So I'm going to cut it across like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to the bottom left hand side. If this is not open, just open it up with this little button here, and come down where it says 0.003, and this is basically going across the y-axis. So if I set this to 0, so click on it, set it to 0, that means then now that is absolutely flat in comparison with this line here. And now all we can do is we can come in and we can actually get rid of the inner or the outer. So I think I'm going to get rid of the outer, and I think if I fill that, you'll end up with something like this, and this is exactly what we want. So this is a nice flat face for us now. And now what we can do is we can take proportional editing off. I can press Shift D, enter, press 3 again, and now I can bring it up and try and get it lined up with there. Now you will notice if I press 3 that I can't actually see where I'm lining it up for, but if you press Z, go into wireframe, now you'll see if I zoom in that I can actually see that. So now I can pull it up, so it's about level with the other one. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, just make sure they're quite level. Press Z, go back into solid, and now what we'll do is we'll actually get rid of this. So I'm pressing L to grab it all, delete, and this time select vertices, and that just means there's no little vertices or anything or edges left over, and it'll just be this that you've got here. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to basically get rid of the edges in this one. You can see I brought it in like that, and that's absolutely fine. I need to do the same on this one now. So what I can do is I can grab them both now, press Ctrl J, tab, and let's come in now and grab the center of this one. I'm going to press 7 to go over the top again. I'm going to press the I button, and I'm going to bring it down so it's about the same thickness as this one here. So it looks kind of like that. Alright, so I'm happy with that, and you can see that also this is an actual it's got basically no points in it, and we want that on both of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press delete and faces, and then I'm going to come in now and delete all of these faces as well. So I'm just going to select all of these with shift left click, press delete and faces, and there you go. That's what you should be left with. Now the other thing is I want to drop these down a little bit. I want them just below here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press A, just pull them down a little bit like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press E and pull them down, and you can see there that when I tried to pull them down, that they went, one went one way, one went the other way. And that is because if I press Ctrl Z just to get rid of that extrude, I come up to the top right hand side, click this on, and if I come down then to face orientation, you can see that some are red and some are blue. Now we want these to always be blue because basically if they're red, they're facing the wrong way around. So I'll come to this one, I'll grab it with L just to make sure I'm grabbing it all. I'll press Shift N and then that will spin it around for me. While I'm here, I might as well press Tab, grab this inner part, press L just to grab it all, Shift N and just spin those all around as well. Once you're finished, come up and turn your face orientation off, and now let's press Tab and come back to these two parts. Now if I press Tab, A to grab everything, 3, press the E button and they'll both come down in the right way. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now bearing in mind that these might be a little bit too thick. All of this might be a little bit too thick. I'm not actually sure yet. Also bear in mind that we do actually need a glass piece in here, as well, like we've got a piece in here. So let's sort that glass piece out now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Ctrl R, left click, right click, and I'm going to do the same on this one. So Ctrl R, left click, right click, and there we go. That should be our glass piece. Now, do we want them all the way down there? I don't think so. So what I'll do is I'll press Alt Shift click. I'll grab them both then, and then I'll pull them both up like so. And then all I'm going to do is I'm simply going to fill each of these faces in. Now, there is an important thing. When we come and we apply our actual materials, we want to make sure that we can apply our glass in the center of each of these, and the outside is basically going to be stone. So to make that easy, what we want to do is we're going to right click, come down to where it says Mark Seam, and now when we fill these in, it's going to make it much easier, and I'll show you why. If I press Alt F now, that will fill both of those in. And now if I come in and I try and grab one of these with L, so if I press L, you'll see that it grabs all of this part except this part in the middle, because that actual seam now is working to stop us grabbing it all the way through and basically splitting these islands up. That's exactly what we want. Now let's repeat this going around. So the easiest way to do that, being as we've got both of these, let's first of all set the transformations just to make sure we don't have any problems when we come to beveling and things like that. So we'll come to our middle part first. We'll press Ctrl A, all transforms, right click, set origin to geometry, and now we'll come to these parts here, Ctrl A, all transforms, and basically what we've done now is told Blender that we've created these parts. They're no longer cylinders or they're no longer cubes or anything like that. They actually look like these parts. So Blender will treat them accordingly. In other words, if we don't do that, when we come to unwrap them and things like that in the future, it's going to be a real pain to actually do them. Okay, so now we've got that, let's press 7 again. And what we want to do now, we want to make sure that when we rotate these, we're rotating them from this point. If I press RZ, you'll see that they do already rotate from this point. I think, yeah, it's on individual origin still, but the actual orientation shouldn't be at this point actually, because it should be somewhere around here, but we didn't reset it. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to put it on 3D cursor, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift D, so Shift and D. Now we've grabbed them, R, Z, and 45 degrees. Like so, and you can see now they fit absolutely perfectly. So Shift D again, RZ 45, Shift D, RZ 45, and just keep working your way down. Now there are ways of actually doing this to repeat all the way around, but to be honest, by the time you've got round here, you will have done it anyway. So I find that this is the easiest way to do it. And there we go, they're all done. Now let's join all of these together. So not that one, I'm going to join all of these. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to shift select them all, press Ctrl J, join them all together, and you should end up with something like this, which is already looking really, really nice. Alright, so I'm happy with that. The one thing maybe I'm not happy with is I might want to lower these down a little bit, so a little bit lower than what they are. So I could shrink them in, I guess, or I could actually pull them down. So I think I'm going to shrink them in. First of all though, because I'm in object mode, I don't have a gizmo there. It's important that you press Shift and Spacebar, bring in the Move tool, and now your gizmo's there and you can actually move them around. So what I'm going to do now is press S and Z and just shrink them in just a little bit. Maybe that was a little bit too much. I'm just looking at the back, maybe. So S and Z, just bring them out. Tiny bit. Yeah, something like that looks really, really nice, as you can see. Now what I want to start work on is the actual outer. So I'm going to grab our template that we made. I'm going to check if I press 7. Let's see, do I want it a little bit bigger than that? Probably so. So I'm going to press S and just pull it out a little bit. Next, I'm going to press Tab. I'm going to come in with face select, so I'm going to grab the whole thing. I'm going to press I, and what that's going to do is it's going to enable me to bring one in then right up to the edge of where these are. Okay, so something like that. So this is basically going to be stone. This is going to be the stone ornate part, and then in between there is going to be the actual glass. So you can see it's probably still a little bit thick, but we'll work on that as we move along. Alright, now the next thing we want to do is we need to put some edge loops in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Ctrl R and I'm going to pour it over to the left hand side, left click, and this time I'm not going to right click. I'm going to actually drag it down and put it where I actually want the stone, which is probably something round about there, that type of thickness. What I tend to do is make the thickness of this stone around the thickness of this stone here, and I think that looks really, really great. Now let's press 7 again, let's press Ctrl R, left click, and this time we're going to bring it to the outside, so something like that. And this time I'm probably going to make it just that little bit thicker because I'm going to have some stone actually going around the outside of here. Now, the next thing that I want to do, I want little circles going around in each of these ones here, but I also want some stone actually coming out, separating them all out. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go and select the first two, and then I'm just going to work my way along, missing out one and selecting one. So let's go around, like so. And I'm just shift, left clicking, and you should end up absolutely perfect. Now let's press Ctrl B, and what this is going to do is it's actually going to bevel them out like so. Now try and make your stone roughly the same thickness as this one here. So something like that I think looks really, really nice. Okay, so we've got this part here, and now it's time probably to bring out this actual stone. The other thing is that, yeah, I'm thinking that if I grab, I've already got all these grabs, so that's going to make it really easy to do this process right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to face select, I'm going to grab this face here, so shift select it, so you've still got all these selected, in other words, that's what you want. So I'm going to shift select this one, and then I'm going to come to here and I'm going to press Control and left click. And that's going to select them going all the way around. And then I'm just going to Control left click going all the way around, as you can see, all the way back to the start. And the reason I did it like that is because if I press Control left click and I come, let's say over here, it might try and jump down here. So I'm just split that up when I'm actually selecting them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift left click this one here, Control click going all the way around, like so, all the way back round to the start like we did before. And there we go, we've got something like that. Now what I want to do is we actually want to pull this out. So I'm going to press E, pull them out, and there you go. Now you can see you've got your stone structure actually there. Now it's up to you how far you pull this. As I say, these probably need making a little bit thinner. Now I'm not going to do that yet because I do actually need probably to bevel some of this off because I need some holes in here, and at the moment I don't have any holes in this. And I don't want to do that yet because I've still got these circles to work on first. So we'll leave it like it is for now, and then what we'll do is we'll press 7, and I'm going to press Shift A, Mesh, bring in another cylinder. Now this cylinder, I really don't need it at 32 because it is just the circles that are going up the top of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down to 20 just to give me slightly less polygons on this part. Now what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to grab this part here, grab my new cylinder, press Tab, and then what enables me to do is work on both of these at the same time. Of course, I don't need to work on these at the moment. What I need to work on is this cylinder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it, I'm going to pull it up. So I've grabbed it with L, pull it up, press the S button just to shrink it. And you notice that it's coming from here. I don't really want that. What I want to do then is press the little sideways V, come down to where it says individual origins, and now press the S button and shrink it down to the size that I actually want it. So I want it relatively close to these edges because I'm actually going to be bringing that in as well. So something like that looks absolutely fine. And then what I want to do is I just want to get rid of the bottom and the sides of this just for now. So I'm going to come to the bottom, press Ctrl plus on the number pad, press delete and faces, and you should be left with just this. Now press 7, press the I button to bring it in. Something like that, round about the same thickness as here. And now you can see exactly why we've done that. So now if I press delete, faces, and then come in, press L, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this down now. So I'm going to press E, extrude it past this point here, and now let's put some glass on here as well. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to press Ctrl R, left click, right click, like so, and I think that looks really good. This is probably a little bit high, as you can see. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, I'm going to mark seam, like so. I'm going to come in then, I'm going to press Alt, Shift and click. I'm just going to pull this down a little bit, like so, just so it's just slightly ahead of there. And then finally I'm going to fill this glass in. So I'm going to come in now, on the mark seam, Alt, Shift and click, Alt F, fill it in like so. And as well, you don't have to have it on beauty. If you turn this off, you'll see that it fills it in like that. I prefer it like that, but it's really up to you how you fill yours in. All right, so that's that part done. Now what we want to do is I want to repeat this going around. Just the same sort of thing as what we did before. Again, our actual orientation is right in the center, so that makes it really easy. So now if I press 7 and I press Shift D, RZ, let's try 22.5, and that's what it should be. So now if I come and I select both of these, and I press 7, and I press Shift D, and then RZ 45, Shift D, RZ 45, just to make it a little bit easier. So I'm just continuing round, so Shift D, RZ 45, Shift D, RZ 45, and before you know it, you're already nearly up and finished. So there we go. Now let's grab all of these, like so, and we'll join all of these up, like so. So press Ctrl J and join them all up. Now the most important thing is actually making these holes in this mesh, because I need these holes in this mesh so that actually the light passes through this actual glass, which you can see here. So how do we do that? So this is the main part of the actual window. So this is kind of the back of the window. This is where we actually need to put holes in. So if I press Ctrl A, all transforms, because we need to reset that because we've altered it a lot. And then what we can do is we can come over now to the right hand side and we can use our first modifier. So if I click this little spanner, come up to add modifier, and I'm going to go down to where it says Boolean. And then you'll notice a little pipette here. Leave it on difference. This is going to make the difference between them. Click on the pipette, and then you're going to grab those little circles that we made. So left click on them, and you'll see actually this happens. Now, if I come in and hover over our actual modifier, press Ctrl A, or I'll just press Ctrl Z to show you, and click this little down arrow and click apply. Now, if you come back to these circles, press the H button, and there you go. That's what you should be left with. And now what we need to do is actually fill in these places and delete these places, because this is where our actual glass is, or we want our light to come through, and these are where the actual stone is. So let's come in to our actual main part, and then what we'll do is we'll actually come in and fill all those in first. So I'm going to come in first of all, Alt, Shift and click, and just try and grab these all around here. Now this part's a little bit tedious, to be honest, but it's definitely worth doing this way that I'm going to show you. So I'm just doing the inside and the outside, going all the way around. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to mark a seam and then fill them in, and then that's going to make it really easy to get rid of the centers of these. And it's important that we actually clean up the mesh as best we can, because then we're going to have less problems in the future, and also it's going to be built to a good level, which means that we come, if you take this through to something like a Substance Painter or Unreal Engine and you triangulate it going through, then you shouldn't have any problems with the mesh or anything like that, because it is a clean mesh, even though it's got some n-gons and things like that. That's why you actually triangulate things before sending them through. Alright, so let's right click, mark seam, and then you should end up with something like that, and then just press Alt F, and there you go. That's filled all those in for us. And now what we need to do is we need to come into each of these. So now I can simply come in and press the L button, in Face Select, and you'll see now I can select these really easily, and it's going to save us a lot of time. So if I select all these, like so, press delete, come down, faces, tab, Alt H, bring everything back, so unhide everything, and now you'll see that that glass is actually ready now to be, for something to go through. All right, so that's that part done. Now what we need to do is we need to do the same thing on the inside of here, so the glass is going through here and on this bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this out the way, just so I can actually see what I'm doing. I'm going to hide these out the way, and you should be left with something like that. Now, let's come in and do the same thing on this part. I think the center part is part of it, so that's good. So let's grab this again, and what we'll do is we'll press Ctrl A again, all transforms, come over to our little spanner, Boolean, grab the pipette, grab the center point like so, and then what we can do is we can apply it with Ctrl A, and now let's hide this out of the way. So press H, hide, and that is the point now which we need to get rid of again. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to come in, Alt, Shift and click, going all the way around like so, Alt, Shift and click, right click, mark seam, Alt F, fill it in, come in to the center point, grab it, and press delete and faces, and you should be left with something like that. All right, let's press Alt H, and again we're going to hide this part and this part out of the way, and now let's fix these parts here. So again, we need to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to grab my main part again, Ctrl A, all transforms. Let's come over to the little spanner, add modifier, and we're going to add in a Boolean, pipette, grab these parts like so, apply, Control A, and then grab these, hide them out of the way, and this is what you'll be left with. Alright, so let's come in and we're going to do the same thing with the marking of seams. These ones, I don't know if I'll actually grab them going all the way around, let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy, we just grab both sides. So we'll see anyway when we've got our marked seams on. That'll really show them up if they're not all grabbed. So that's something that you should just look out for when you mark your seams. Just make sure they're going all the way around so you can see it. It's just 3 actual clicks on each of these just to actually get them. You can see there was a little bit different actually, I think there. So I'm just going to grab this one, like so. And again, it may seem a little bit tedious, but I think it's important that we clean up the mesh. So I'm going to see if that's all of them. So let's mark seam. And I think we've got one there, I can see. And I'm just going around now, just making sure I've got them. And it's really important they actually do this. So I've got one there, as you can see. And it seems to be these parts here that go like this. So right click and mark seam. Now there is another way you can check this. So if you come in and you grab one of these and you press L, you'll see that it grabs it all the way around. Up to, it won't grab any of these parts obviously. So what I need to do now, I'm going to mark another seam on the inside of here, and then I'll know if I've actually got all these, which I think I actually have actually. In fact, I won't actually mark a seam, I'll just leave them like that. Alright, so now what we need to do is I need to come in, press Ctrl Z, just to go back now, because that was all actually marked. And then if I press Alt F now, that's going to try and fill all those in. So let's have a look, see if I can go back once more, press Alt F, fill them all in, and you can see there that because I've not grabbed, I've actually got some points that are probably missing here or something. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do these separate. So I'm going to grab all of this one here, press Alt F, and let's see if we can fill that in. You can see there I've still got a problem. So I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try right click and bridge edge loops, and you can see there we've still got a problem. So this could be a problem for filling this in. Now, there is another thing. We don't actually need to fill these in because we have got basically stone going up here. But if you don't fill them in, sometimes it has an issue with the actual light, and that's why I'm trying to just stop that happening. So if I come in and I grab these 2 faces, for instance, and I grab this face, and all I'm doing is grabbing each face, pressing the F button, and then I'll try filling it in. So Alt, Shift and click, going all the way around here. Grab this one, press Alt F, and there you go. Now you can see it fills it in. So I'm just going to go around now, see where the problems are. So I'm going to press F there, and then finally I'm going to come in and grab this middle part, press delete and faces, because that is where the actual glass is. Alright, so now let's come in and try and do the same thing with this one. Hopefully this one will work and we're not going to have too many problems with the rest of them. I think there's just one more where there may be a slight issue. So I'm just coming in, grabbing all of them like so. So Alt F, like so, Alt F, and I think it will be the one where you can see there's a line going through it. I think that's going to be the one that will cause a few issues, so we'll check that out. So Alt F, not this one, it's this one here, one of these two, so we'll see. So Alt Shift and click, Alt F, going all the way around both of these. Let's see if this one, nope, so it must be this one. Let's see, I'm sure it's going to be this one, so let's see, Alt F, and there you go, there's the problem one. So let's come in and we'll just fill in this, and I'll fill in this, and then I'll press Alt Shift and click, going all the way around like so. Alt F, you can see that it said not a full face, so Alt F. Is it a full face now? Let's have a look. Just looking to see if I need to fill some more in, so F. And if you do have this problem, just keep working your way up with the F button and then grabbing them all the way around and seeing then if you can press Alt F, and then eventually you will get there. So let's see if we can do the same on this one, going all the way around, Alt F, and there we go. Alright, so the rest should be pretty much straightforward. So let's see if they are. Like so. Alt F, and then we'll just get rid of the center parts once we've done this, and we're nearly back up to the top. There we go. Now let's come in, face select, and grab each of these faces like so, going all the way around. And I know we can make cleaner meshes, I really do know that, but for now I'm just trying to show you how to actually do this, not actually clean up the meshes so they're spotless or anything like that. All right, so there we go. Now if I press tab, Alt-H, bring everything back, and now finally we can actually work on how thick we actually want these pieces to be. So we can see that these are probably way too thick. So I'm going to grab all of these, and I'm going to press S and Z and just pull them in. Oops, S and Z, pull them in a little bit like so. And then I'm going to grab this center point, this one here, and I'm going to pull it back just a little bit. And there you go. You can see how easy that actually is. You can see they do stick out a long way on here, and you can fix these if you want. You could go in and grab each one of these and just pull them up. I'm thinking, do I need to do that? Because this is going to be placed on an actual wall, and you won't be able to see the other side of it. So I would say, if you can see both sides of this, yeah, actually do something like that. But at the moment, I don't think I need to. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to grab all of everything basically. So I'm going to press A to grab everything. I'm going to press Control J, join it all up. Next, what I want to do is smooth this out. So I'm going to right click and shade smooth. And it will go like this. We don't need to worry about that. Let's come over now to this little triangle and come to where it says normals, and then come down to where it says auto smooth, and you should end up with something like that. And now you can see all those little edges have actually gone. Next of all, I would like to actually bevel some of this off, because at the moment it looks a bit hard edged and things like that. Now you could go around and bevel each of these off individually, but I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to, again, all transforms, right click, set origin to geometry. Let's come over now to a little spanner, add modifier, and we're going to come to bevel, and you'll end up with something like this. But let's take this first of all. You can see not a lot is happening on here. Let's come down and put this limit method on angle, and now you'll see it actually bevels it off. Now that might be a little bit too much of a beveling for you. So what you need to do is you need to come to where it says amount, or the segments. You can turn the segments up, and you can see now that it's kind of more rounded, but I don't really like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that down. I'm going to hold the shift button, and that will slow down. So you can see I can pull this all the way down really fast, like so. I don't really want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press shift, and then I'm going to left click and bring it down. And as I get more towards the actual bottom, so there you go. Now you can see I can actually set it to what I actually want it. And now that looks really nice. All right, so I'm happy with that. Now, the last thing I want to do is I want to pull this out a little bit. So I'm not actually going to apply this at the moment. I don't think I need to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, and I'm going to put it on proportional editing. I'm going to press Alt, Shift, and click going around all this one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out. In other words, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up, bring out my actual circle, and you can see now that I can lift all that up and actually create this kind of bowed kind of look, which is what we'd actually have. Now, finally, what we need is an outside on here. So let's create that now. Now, pretty much, because we've created all this, creating the outside is pretty easy. So let's press 7. Make sure that your cursor in the center. So Shift S, cursor to world origin. Shift A, and let's bring in another cylinder. And this time we'll put the cylinder on 32. So let's put it on 32, because it is the outside. It's a lot of pieces. And then what we're going to do is we're going to press S, like so. I'm going to pull this down, just so I can see where I'm going to go up to. So something probably like here. And then I'm going to grab the bottom, because I'm actually, I do want to grab the bottom. Yeah, I'm going to grab the bottom and actually delete this like we've done before. So grab the bottom, Control plus, delete, and faces. Now let's come to this face here. Let's press 7 to go over the top, and let's press the I for insert and bring it in right up to just under these parts here. And what we'll do is, while we've got the rest of it grabbed, is just press delete, faces, and you'll have just this part left. Now what we want to do is we want to split these off into 4. So if I come in and I say this is the center, so I'm going to do pretty much what I did to split this part off. So you can see I've got 4 in between, and I'm going to have 4 in between, and just work my way around, 4 in between each one, like so. And you should, when you get back round, is it this one here, 4 in between. Then what you're going to do is you're going to right click, and you're going to come down and you're going to mark a seam, and then that's going to make it easy now to split these off. Now let's come in and grab every other one. So I'm going to press L, 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 and L, and then I'm going to press Y, and then I'm going to press G. And why I do it that way is Y splits them, G then moves them. Now you can see that I have got proportional editing on, so I'm going to turn that off. If I press G, it means I've got free movement now. I can put them wherever I want, but if I right click, it'll drop them right back into place, and that's exactly what I want. Now let's now we split them all off. Let's grab them all with A. Let's press E, pull them down like so. And now what I want to do is I actually want to make these a little bit smaller so they actually look like pieces of stone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press A, 7 to go over the top, come up, make sure that you're on individual origins. What it means is if you're on medium point, it will pull them into this point. If you're on individual origins, it will pull them to the center of each of these individually, and that is why we actually split them off. So let's put it on individual origins. Let's press the S button, bring it in. And finally now, you can see that each one of these, they might not have faces on. Mine have got faces on, yours might not. So just take that into account. If yours haven't got faces on, all you need to do is come to mesh, come down to clean up, fill holes, and that'll fill them all in for you. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to actually make these look like actual stone. So I'm going to press Tab, Control A, all transforms, right click, set origin to geometry. Let's come in and add another modifier, and of course it's going to be a bevel modifier. And now you can see they actually look like stone. And here's where you might want to turn up the segments just to make them look a little bit more like stone. You can see there, they look a lot more like stone when you actually turn this up. So I think I'm happy with that. The one thing is though, always make sure your limit method angle is on, and then it's just going to get rid of these ridges. You can see there, if I put it on none, we've got all these little ridges. If I right click, shade smooth, you can see that we've still got kind of these ridges here, but if I put an angle, you can see they disappear now, and that is the reason why I do it. So I recommend that you smooth it off, check it out, make sure you've got auto smooth on, like so. So I think I'm really happy with how that looks, and then just come back to your modifier and make sure that you either want it on 2 or you want it on 1. Now if you do want it on 1, I recommend that you really turn this down, so not so high, and then try putting it on 2 and see what that looks like. So then you can really mess around with this and try and get it looking like stone. So I think something like that. All right, I'm happy with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Tab, I'm going to press S, and I'm going to pull them the other way this time just so they come back together. And you can see now that they come back together like so. Now, I'm not quite happy with that because I don't want any light shining through. So I'm going to really get them so they actually touch in. But then if I double tap the A now to deselect everything, you can see now that it's really sold the illusion of stone. Last of all, I think that I need them just past there. So like so, and there you go. There is our Gothic actual window. So if I press 7 now, double tap the A, press the Z button, go into wireframe, and there you can see that's all of the work we've actually created. All right, so what we need to do now is we actually need to start bringing in some materials. So if I press Z, go back into solid again, and now let's bring in all materials. So easily, the easiest way to do this is actually just to basically unwrap it all. So if I come in and I join it, the problem is here that we can't join it all together because we've actually got 2 different bevels on each one. So I'm going to just unwrap it separately, just going to make it easier. So I'm going to grab all of this. So I'm going to press A, I'm going to press U, I'm going to come down to Smart UV Project, and then click OK. What that does is Blender is basically going to unwrap it itself. It's not actually going to rely on you know, the seams or anything like that. It's going to try and unwrap it itself. So we want to see this in real time. So let's go over to our UV editing, and here we are. You can see this is how Blender's actually unwrapped it. So now let's bring in a material. So I'm going to come over to the right hand side where this little football is. I'm going to click plus, new, double tap where it says material. I'm going to call this stone. I'm going to take my caps lock off. So stone, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come now to my shading panel, which is this one here, and let's bring in the actual stone. So if I click on this, so now what you're going to do is you're going to look for the little download pack, which is in the link down at the bottom below this video, and you're going to download those actual materials. There should be 2 materials there. They're the only 2 materials you need. Just download them. You're free to use them as well in any other projects you might have, or any Blender things or anything like that. So if we come to principled, and what we're going to do is we're going to press Ctrl-Shift-T. Now there is one thing before you do that. You need to come up to edit, go down to preferences, and you're going to bring in on the add-ons something called Node Wrangler. So NODE, you'll see one called Node Wrangler. Just make sure this is ticked on, and then click the X, and now you should be able to come to your principled, press Ctrl-Shift-T, and that then should open up where actually those downloads have come, and you should be able to find the actual textures. So you'll find them under Gothic Stone. They are the 5 textures that we need to bring in. So if I come now and select the first one, select the last one, it should select them all, hopefully. Let's see if I've done that correct. Yeah, there we go, select them all. Click on your little button here, Principled Texture Setup, and that should bring them all in, and hopefully, there we go. There is our stone. You can see how nice that actually looks, and this stone was just made for this, so it should fit it perfectly. Now, of course, we need to do the inside of there. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to grab the inside of here. I'm going to press Tab. I'm going to press A to grab everything. I know that there's these glass pots here. I'm not going to worry about those right now. I'm just going to basically make it all stone. So I'm going to press U, Smart UV Project, because you can imagine it would be a real pain trying to unwrap all of these. Now let's come in and give it our material. So I'm going to click the little football, down arrow this time, click the stone, press the tab button, and there you go. Now what you're looking for in here is just to make sure the stone looks same as this stone, which it pretty much does. If yours looks a little bit blurry or anything like that, just press tab, make sure you've grabbed it all, come over to UV editing, and then just grab these with A, and then press S, and you should be able to pull them out. Put this on material if it's not on there, and then you should be able to see exactly what you're looking at. So there you go. Alright, so now let's go back to, shading actually. It's going to make it easier. Now, we need to give these pots in here glass. So let's come to the outside first. We'll do the outside first. So I'll come in with my face select. And because we actually put seams on each of these faces, we can now come in and grab each of these with just the L button, which makes it really, really easy to actually apply our glass to these pots. So I'm going to grab all of these. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give it a new material. So if I come to the plus button, new, and we'll call this glass red, like so. Now with the glass, we don't actually need a principled, so I'm going to come in, left click it, and you'll see it's highlighted in white this time. Press the delete key, and that will get that disappeared. We do need a material output, of course. Now let's come in and bring in our first node. So Shift A. Now we need the light to actually go through the glass, and it's going to be in cycles, so that's important. So this won't actually work in Eevee, only in cycles this setup. In Eevee, you have to actually do a different setup, which is something that I might cover in a future video. So let's come in and do a search, and what we're going to search for is light, and you'll see one that says light path. So click on it, bring it in. Next of all, you want to bring in a math node, so M-A-T-H. Bring in a math, which is this one here, and then what you want to do is you want to turn this on maximize. We don't want to add it, we just want to maximize the effect. So come in where it says add and come to maximum. Now let's plug in the shadow ray. So we're going to plug that into the top of here, and then also we're going to put in a reflection ray. So this reflection ray here, plug that in to the bottom, then you'll notice that disappears. Now we need a mix shader to actually create this glass. So Shift A, search, mix, shader, drop that in here, and now we can actually plug in our value to the actual FAC. And this tells Blender how they should interact with this actual glass. So now let's come in and first of all bring in a couple of nodes. So glass, and this is a very, very simple glass setup. You can go a lot more complex. We can bring in a lot more noise nodes and things like that, but I'm going to keep this really simple for this actual tutorial. Now let's bring in also a transparency. So let's come down and we'll do a search, transparent, this one here, not the translucent, bring that in. Now let's plug in this one into the top and this one into the bottom. Now I've been messing around with the roughness, so I would say 0.240 like so. And then also we want to now plug this into our surface. And finally, we just want to assign this to it. And once we assign, you'll see that these now, if I press tab, they go basically like glass. Now I'm not happy with the white. I want to make these red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come on, pick a red color, and then make it fairly dark. You do want it fairly dark, as you'll see in the follow-up video to here, that the darker it is, the better actually it looks. If you have them too light, it looks too cartoony and you don't want that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm also going to come down to the transparent. Now this is the color that affects the light. In other words, if this is white, the light that comes through there will be basically a white color. So what you want to do is you want to take your red, I'm going to make that actually a little bit darker, and you want to actually put it on red, but make it really, really light. So I'm going to put it on red and then bring it up and just make it kind of a pinky color so that that light actually gets reflected to that color. Now what we need to do is we need to actually create glass for these parts and the center. So these parts I want orange, and the center I want a nice yellow color or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press plus twice and grab this one, click new, grab the second one, click new, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this glass orange, like so. Double click this one and we'll call it glass yellow. And then what we'll do is we'll come now to the glass red, click the little down arrow, copy material, click on the glass orange, paste in material, click on the glass yellow, paste material. And now these are all basically the same. And now on the orange one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a nice orange color. But I think first of all, what I'll do is I'll actually come in and I'll grab each one of these. So the inner parts of these, and I'm actually going to apply this just so I can see in real time the actual color changes. So let's just grab each one of these like so, come to my glass orange, click assign, and now I can press this tab so I can actually really see what I'm doing, and come to this red, turn it up first, let's then put it on the orange. As you can see now it's a nice orange color, and then let's just turn it down a little bit. That might be a little bit dark for the orange. Again, I'm going to come now to this part here, I'm going to click it on just a little bit of an orange, so I want to get an orange color like so, and then bring it up just a tiny bit like so. And now what we'll do is we'll come to the middle, so I'm going to click on glass yellow, press tab, grab the center, glass yellow, click assign, press tab, and then let's put it on up here, click yellow like so, and now let's come and put it on a nice yellow color, and I think that needs to be a little bit more yellow and a bit darker, something like that. Alright, so now let's go back to modeling. Let's press tab, put it on material, and I think we can actually put it onto Eevee. You won't be able to see anything at the moment because we need to bring in a point light and things like that. We will bring in a point light actually so we can actually see what we've done. So light, point light, bring it in, shift spacebar, move, bring it up, and now let's make this point light really, really bright. So what we'll do is we'll come over to our actual light over here. We'll turn first of all the radius. We will need the radius down for the next part of this, so turn it down, and then let's put this on something like 1000, and there you go. You can see exactly what you've done now, and you can see how it really, really looks really, really nice. And now you know actually how to actually create a Gothic style window. And in the next part of this, we will actually create the godrays, we'll create a wall, and we'll have the light actually shining through. You can actually also make the light shine through and actually hit the floor, so that's something that you might be interested in. So I hope you see me on the next one. Thanks a lot everyone, bye bye.